There are two very important windows that open up that allow your body and your brain to be more suggestible to information. And that is when you wake up in the morning, your brain waves go from very slow delta to theta to alpha to beta. And when you go to bed at night, you go from beta to alpha to theta to delta. So you slide up the scale when you wake up, and you slide down the scale when you go to bed at night. And most people, when they go to bed at night, they just go from beta, boom, right down the delta. They fall very quickly. But you can teach people then how to just sit and slow everything down and begin to visualize, begin to affirm, begin to change their thoughts, to begin to work with their body when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed at night. And it seems, according to our research, that those changes can last for hours. The person feels better. They don't feel as stressed. They don't feel as imbalanced. They don't feel as incoherent. They're not worrying as much. They're not obsessing as much. They're not over-focused about something as much. Those are beautiful windows when we wake up in the morning and when we go to bed at night. So what do most people do when they wake up in the morning? Your brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact, a memory bank of everything you've learned and experienced to this moment. So people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems. Mm-hmm. And those problems are memories in the brain that are connected to certain people and certain things at certain times and places. So they wake up in the morning and they start thinking in the past. Now, the moment they start having those thoughts, every one of those experiences has an emotion associated with it. So when they start thinking about their problems or the problems of the world or the problems of their body or whatever it is, problems at work, they all of a sudden start to feel the correlated emotion. So now their body's in the past. So now people then get caught up in an emotion. They reaffirm their identity. They could wake up in the morning and feel nothing at all. And then all of a sudden they say, well, wait a second, I got to get back to myself. So they start thinking about their problems, and here come the emotions. And they say, oh, now I feel like me again. Mm-hmm. So those emotions then begin to influence our thoughts. Like if you feel like a failure, you're going to think you're a failure. And when you think you're a failure, you're going to feel like a failure. And when you feel like a failure, you're going to think more thoughts equal to being a failure. And the cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking causes you to say, I am a failure. And while you become one, that's your state of being. And the repetition of that process of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to become the mind of that emotion. Now the emotion is stored in the body. Now the body's literally in the past. Mm-hmm. And the body, as the unconscious mind, doesn't know the difference between the actual experience that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. Your body's believing it's in the same experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The body is still living in that past experience. So then getting people out of the past is the work. So then they wake up in the morning after they reaffirm who they are and they can't think greater than how they feel, they're in the familiar past. So if you're in the familiar past, you're going to do the things that reaffirm the emotions of your predictable future. So you wake up in the morning, you check your WhatsApp, you check your text, you mm-hmm. check your Twitter, you tweet, you check your Facebook, you check your email, you check the news, you check your other email. Now you are really connected to everything that's known in your life. And then you run through a series of routine behaviors. You move around your house the same way you always do. You do all the same things. You go to the same grocery store. You buy the same food. You shop the same way. You do all these. You watch the same TV shows. And people do this and for 10, 20, 30 years. Now, their body's on autopilot. And their body's dragging them into a predictable future based on what they did in the past. We could actually take their yesterday and lift it up and set it on their tomorrow, which means then they've lost their free will to a program. So now the familiar past and the predictable future is called the known. There's only one place that you have to train a person to be so that they're not in the known, they're in the unknown, and that's called the present moment. So people get very happy being unhappy because they would rather cling to their unhappiness than take a chance in possibilities. So stepping into that river and beginning to make a new choice and understanding that uncertainty, that unpredictability is the unknown. Now you're in that river of change, and it is the neurological, the biological, the chemical, hormonal, genetic death of the old self. Mm-hmm. And people say to me, well, if there's uncertainty, I can't predict my future. And I always say the same thing. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Not in the known, right there. That uncertainty, you can learn now how to regulate your state. Instead of living in fear because, well, the idea that things are going to get worse, the idea that you can't predict, or the idea of being uncertain or can't control something actually sets off the stress response. So now you're in the unknown, and the survival gene is switched on. Of course, people are going to, out of the infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field, they're going to select the worst scenario in their mind, right? So then, what if you're in the unknown and you understand that, and now you can work back into that present moment and you say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain, put my attention behind? What behaviors today, one day, what behaviors do I want to demonstrate? And the act of closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing who you're going to be when you open your eyes begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. So by rehearsing mentally and doing it over and over again, the hardware becomes a software program, and who knows, you just might start acting like a happy person. Well, there's no magic there. You install the circuitry. You may start thinking in more unlimited ways. You put those circuits in place. Now, here's the tough part. And can you teach your body emotionally what that future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? That means you can't wait for your healing to feel gratitude and wholeness. You can't wait for your wealth to feel worthy and abundant. You can't wait for your new lover to feel love. That's the old model of reality of cause and effect. Waiting for something outside of us to take away our emptiness and pain that we feel inside of us. That's Newtonian cause and effect. The quantum model of reality is about causing an effect. That means the moment you start feeling worthy and abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you create an equal. Well, the moment you start feeling gratitude and wholeness, your healing actually starts to begin. So then the word meditation literally means to become familiar with. That's what that word means. So the biological model is, well, you got to become familiar with your unconscious thoughts. You got to become aware of your unconscious habits and behaviors. You got to become so familiar with your emotional state, saying, oh my God, I've been feeling guilt for the last 10 years. I didn't know it was guilt. It just felt like me. And so then as you begin to observe those states of mind and body, consciously, you're no longer the program. You're the consciousness observing the program, and you start pulling consciousness out of our biology, right? Objectifying our subjective self. Now, that overcoming process is the most important part of this work, because once you overcome it, you're no longer looking at your future through the lens of the past. In your brain and in your body, chemically and emotionally, you're seeing possibilities. So then it's natural, once you've disentangled from those programs, to start thinking differently, to start acting differently, to start feeling differently. And as you start thinking differently, firing and wiring, and you start installing the circuits and rehearsing who you're going to be, you start behaving differently, you start feeling differently. You keep doing that, it's going to become familiar to you. And over time, as you overcome those aspects of yourself, you're actually becoming somebody else. There's a becoming process that begins to take place, and some people do it very quickly. Other people, it just takes some time. But once you understand the formula, and once you understand what it all means, you start seeing people make some pretty big changes. I'm not about positive thinking. People can think positive with the 5% of their conscious mind, but they're feeling negative for the last 40 years. That thought's never going to go anywhere. It's about changing your state of being. I think that, we're habituated. You're habituated to think about your kids, to think about your husband, to think about the grocery list, to think about when the garbage day is, to think about your errands you have to run, think about the emails you have to answer. We're habituated to shift our attention from one thing to the next. We have this mobile thing called awareness, And so we habituate ourselves into shifting our attention very quickly so that we can get a lot of stuff done. And when you do that, your brain waves kind of amplify into a higher aroused state called high beta brain waves. And that's good. That's good if you need to be alert. But as those thoughts come in, I don't really care that they come in. I'm just noticing they're coming in, but they're not the thoughts I want to put my attention on. So as you begin to have those thoughts coming in, start applying a way to change your brain waves. In the beginning, yeah, just like when you work out, in the beginning, I don't want to do this, it hurts, and then halfway through the workout, you're totally involved in it, and your fatigue is gone, you're not thinking about anything else, you're clear. Well, you keep doing it. Our research shows that, and we just had a group of scientists study a bunch of our brain scans in Bond University in Australia. Thousands and thousands of brain scans. She called me up and she said, we have never seen a community of people have the ability to change their brainwaves so quickly. Like 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 9 seconds. They've practiced it enough times that they know how to silence the critic in their brain. That thinking is the analytical mind. And as you learn how to change your brainwaves, that default mode network, that voice in your head goes away. And our research shows that it goes away during the meditation, and then it goes away for the majority of the day. So nobody's saying to you, you can't, it's too hard, you're too much like your mother, you're never going to change, it didn't work last time. That's silenced in the brain. So it's not so much that you have to try to get those thoughts out of there. You just know that they're going to come, and you keep directing your thought at something else, and you keep applying the formula. Mm-hmm. Sooner or later, the chatter just goes away, and that's the relief. And you practice it, then you know when you're there and you know when you're not. And so when I do my inner work, the most important thing for me is to settle into that present moment, because when there's significant biological changes that are taking place in the brain and the heart, sometimes you feel so amazing you don't want anything any longer. You feel like you have everything, and that's what I call the natural state of being. There's coherence, high level of order in the brain. The brain is synchronized, it's orderly. The heart is synchronized, it's orderly. It's driving new energy to the brain. Once energy moves into the heart, our research as well as other research shows that it amplifies energy into the brain. Now you have a different awareness. You're feeling differently, you're thinking differently, because you're at a different level of consciousness.
We are back with Complete the Quote challenge. Can you complete the quote and give us the right answer? All you need to do is to complete the quote or statement that we choose, and if you can do it first, you're the daily winner. Your job is to write the correct answer in the comments below the video, or your guess if you're not sure. In the previous video we were looking for 2 words. The quote belongs to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it goes like this. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses? Yet, but you've thought about it enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the experience has? And the correct answer is already occurred. So, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about it enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? Congratulations to everyone with the correct answer. Today we are looking for 2 words, and the quote belongs to Joe Dispenza also. The quote goes like this. To be empowered, to be free, to be unlimited, to be creative, to be genius, to be divine. That is who? Write your answers in the comments below the video, and if you like this video, give your thumbs up and share it with your friends. Be the first one and win this challenge. Do you like this way of ending the videos? Tell me everything in the comment section. If you don't want to miss my new videos and challenges, subscribe and hit the bell button, and you'll be noted when my new video is published. If you really like what we do here and want to support us, you can join our channel and our community for a symbolic fee and gain many other additional features. You can do that by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button, or you can click on the link in the description of this video. Stay good and have a great day.